Hello everyone, John Fennell here from Great Lakes Fly Shop, and we're starting a new series here on YouTube, and hope you like it. It's called the Basic Fly Tying Course, and what I'm going to be going over is for those that are just getting into fly tying, I'm going to be going through the store and showing you some items that are important as part of your fly tying inventory. So if you have any questions, comments, please leave it on YouTube or give me a big thumbs up and let me know. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because due to the COVID, we can't have fly tying classes here in the shop. So I'm going to be trying to put out series of small fly tying exercises like tying a woolly bugger, prince nymphs, soft hackles through the course of the winter. So keep an eye on my web and also keep an eye on my YouTube chapter there, and we'll discuss areas of fly tying. Any questions you have, call me at 218-740-3040 or get a hold of me at my webpage and leave an email message. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about fly tying and fly tying inventory and exercises for those just getting into it, as well as those that have been tying for a while and are saying, hey man, I just don't understand how you do that. Anyway, let's get started. First of all, what we want to get into when we talk about fly tying is that when you come into a fly shop, whether it's my shop or whether it's anybody's shop, you're going to be amazed at all the materials that you see here. And it can be kind of daunting, overwhelming, but bear in mind, that's why you have the shop owner or the employee working there. Don't feel bad or don't feel like, hey man, I feel a little nervous about asking questions. Ask questions, because these people are in the shop for one thing, and that's to help people out when it comes to getting into fly tying. So there's a lot of materials, a lot of things to cover. So one of the first things I'll bring up, of course, is the tools. Okay, and there are different areas you can go into in tools. One of the best areas that I go into, first of all, for people just getting into tying, is the Wapsi Basic Fly Tying Starter Kit. It's a great kit. It's got all the tools you need to get started. It has materials to tie quite a few of the flies that you see on the side of the box. So whatever fly area or whatever fly shop you get into, ask them for the Wapsi Fly Tying Starter Kit. It retails for about 96 bucks, $100, and believe me, it's a great kit. There are other ones out there that they're coming out with slowly. Each manufacturer is, and as you do more of your searches, you'll find out that there's some really nice kits out there that save you a lot of having to buy the items individual, dealing with tools. And that's probably one of the most important things when you look at fly tying, is the fact that the tools are the most important, of course. Item number one is your fly tying vise. The fly tying vise can vary from very, very, very expensive and intricate to just your basic vise that holds the hook, does a great job, and lasts a long time. And that's one of my criterias for a vise, is that yes, there are some out there that are pretty expensive, but they last a long time. Not downing any of the lesser expensive vices, but make sure you do your research. Go into the shop, check them out, see which one, fits your budget, as well as being a vice that it's going to last you for many, 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 many years. Okay? You might look at them and go, wow, man, that's an expensive vice. But bear in mind, it's one of the last vices you'll ever buy. Okay? There are different styles of vices. This one is a Dynaking Professional. It has a lot of the bigger jaw setups. It has a clutch style clamp on the hook style mechanism. Some of the vices that you see out there have a little turn screw that's on the tip of the jaws. Use your own discretion. Check them out. I personally am not a fan of them, but you do what you think's best. but I do recommend the clutch style, the ones that do actually put the pressure by the lever in the back, okay? Another thing that you will actually want to really look into is holding capacity, okay? The Dynaking vices are known for their strength of holding hooks from size 22s down up to size 5/0, okay? And the reason they do that so well is because they not only have a serrated jaw tip in the front, but if you notice real careful, and I'm trying to get that in there, when I shut the vise, you'll notice those two little holes, those two indents. The reason that is because it clutches and it holds the larger hooks. It even holds size 10 hooks at a real nice solid clamp. So your hooks aren't slipping as you're tying material on your hook, okay? And that's critical, that's important, because the last thing you want to have done is every time you're putting a material on there, your hook is doing this all the time. So make sure that you check into the vise that you're looking at getting into and then that it has the holding capacity, okay? So anyway, your vise, very critical item, probably one of the most important, and will probably be one of the most expensive item that you buy for fly tying. Okay, this one is a clamp model. Okay, you can also get the ones that are pedestal models where the item actually sits on top of the table. I have ins and outs about those. The thing you got to keep in mind is travel. So as you're traveling with your bobbin, winding thread over the hook, you'll notice that your travel area between your hand and the table are not that great with a pedestal style. They're still good because you can take them to a friend's house, you can go on a camping trip, you can just lay them on top of the coffee table and start tying some flies. Clamp models tend to be a little bit more rigid also, so they're not doing a lot of moving. So again, it depends on what you're like and what you're looking for in a vise. Whatever you decide, make sure that it's a vise that lasts and has the holding capacity and the strength that you need to do whatever flies that you're looking into tying. Okay. The next item that's probably pretty common and important for tying will be scissors. People always ask me, John, how come scissors cost so much? Okay. Well, in the fly tying world, scissors are made to cut a lot of things. Okay. So that's why you're seeing these scissors that have really super strong blades. And they also are made to last just like the vise is. So, but that's not to say that you can't find scissors if you're in the medical profession. Some of the scissors they use, they sanitize them and then they throw them away. So if you know anybody in the medical industry that has scissors, medical scissors are really nice too. The thing you want to focus on scissors is a real fine point, because you do need to get into some pretty intricate spaces when you're talking about tying, okay? So it's real important that that tip be really fine in the front. You can see it next to my big nose. Anyway, so scissors, you know, not much to talk about, just make sure they're good scissors, okay? Next item that you'll see in the fly tying world is called the bodkin. Okay, John, what's a bodkin? Okay, I found out myself after doing tying classes for almost 25 years, I finally found out what the word bodkin means. It means dagger in English. Never knew that, okay? So anyway, a bodkin is basically a pin that you use to apply head cement on your hook after you tied your fly. And it's also made to separate materials as you're tying them on your hook. So it has a nice point on the front of it, okay? With a needle. The other items that you'll see on some bodkins, not all of them, but most of them have what's called a half-hitch tool. And that's important. I mean, if you're gonna buy a bodkin, buy one that has this little half-hitch tool attached to it. Really nice item. Bodkins, you'll use them for many things, okay? Next one is of course, gonna be your bobbin. Okay, bobbins come in all shapes and sizes. This one in particular is made for tying large bass bugs. And the reason you know that is because A, look at the size of the shank. This shank is super long. It's made to get into a lot of intricate deer hair work. And the thread is heavy duty, all right? So it's made to hold heavy duty items. So this is a heavy duty style bobbin. Again, when you're going to buy your tools, make sure you're getting the bobbin that fits the style of fly you're going to be tying. That's really important. You can't use this bobbin to tie small trout flies, okay? When you're going into buying bobbins, you'll see different shapes and sizes. There's so many different kinds of them. Okay, again, buy one that fits your budget. Whatever you do, don't buy a cheap bobbin. The reason is because you want to look for the bobbin that has that ceramic white tip. Okay, the reason is if you get a metal one that has a metal tip, they tend to split and they'll actually start cutting your thread. Buy a good bobbin, they last a good long time, and make sure again you get the bobbin that fits the size of the thread that you're going to be using. Okay, that's critical. All right, so bobbins made to apply the thread on the hook. That's their number one function. Okay, which brings us to the next item of importance in tying, of course, is thread. All right, different sizes of threads for different applications. Saltwater flies, bass bugs, and also for small trout flies, dry flies, nymphs, steelhead flies, some of them. So the thread is important also. Thread sizes vary from size 8/0, which is very, very small, all the way up to 3/0, and some of the bigger bass threads that get into some pretty heavy duty stuff like Kevlar. Be very careful when you're choosing your threads. Make sure you talk to the person in the shop and get the right thread also. So as if you're reading this video, you'll notice there's a lot of questions you need to ask before you jump in and buy a bunch of time products. Ask the person in the shop. That's what they're there for, okay? The next item that you're gonna see that's not really truly critical, but it is nice to have, is a nice set of tweezers. I don't know about you, but when you got to pick up hooks, it's nice to know that some sizes of hooks, when they get super small, you can actually pick them up with a tweezer versus trying to get them with your big goofy fingers. All right? So anyway, tweezers are a pretty good item, and you can get them at Walgreens. You can get them at pretty much any store that deals with facial issue. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, good item to have. An item that's totally overlooked is fingernail clippers. They're $1.90 something at Walgreens. Pick them up. You'll use a lot of this. All right, fingernail clippers. The next item is what's called hackle pliers. Now, are hackle pliers totally critical to have? You could get some. They're not that expensive. There's different varieties of hackle pliers, which I'll show you here in a minute. But get yourself a hackle pliers. They're not that expensive, so you'll be more than happy to know all the uses that you get with these guys. What hackle pliers do is they basically hold the tip of the hackle as you're winding it around the hook. That's all hackle pliers do. There are some other issues that they do, but as you get into the basics of fly tying, that's what hackle pliers do, okay? I know I'm going over this pretty fast. Again, if you got questions, comments, let me know on YouTube, or get a hold of me on the phone, or get a hold of my webpage. Get a hold of me. That's what I'm here for, okay? The next item that is totally overlooked, no one ever uses one, is a lamp, okay? Lamps are incredibly important when it comes to tying flies. I know you might think that you're in a well-lighted area, but that extra little bit of light going onto the hook while you're tying is so critically important. The other thing that you want to be aware of is never, ever, ever tie with fluorescents. Okay, fluorescent lights tend to make your eyes tired, and you'll notice that some parts of you, like your neck, I'm not downing fluorescent lights, but try to get something that is more incandescent, okay? Incandescent bulbs tend to work the best. Okay, good comfortable chair, is also critical. You want something that has a lot of nice padding in it. Of course, mine are pretty, got a lot of deer hair on them. But you want something that's nice and padded, is comfortable, because when you sit and tie flies, you're going to be sitting for quite a while. Okay? You might not think you are, but you will. Okay? Adjust your vise to match the size of your chest. Make sure it's about right here in a comfortable area where your arms have nice travel and you're not fatiguing your whole body while you're tying flies. It does happen, so make sure you get comfortable at your fly tying vise. You scoot up to it and you get comfortable before you start tying. Okay? Have your cup of coffee, whatever else you need. Okay. Another item that's really, really super nice to have is head cement. All right? No matter how well we think we put a knot on the end of a fly, use head cement. Okay? It only takes about 2 seconds to put it on. It's not worth the skimp and not have head cement. Okay? Another item that you want to keep close eye on is touch dub wax or tacky wax. All right? Wax is used to apply on the thread as you're tying, and it's made to hold some of the dubbings. Dubbing is a product that I'll go over here in a minute that is used to make bugs, all right? The bodies, the thoraxes. It's a really, really hard material to put on the thread as you're using your fingers. So wax helps tacky that thread up to make it a little easier, okay? Okay, here we go. All right, when you get into the shop, the first thing that you're gonna wanna look at, of course, is hooks. All right, my goodness, hooks. There are quite a few varieties of hooks out there. Again, here we go again, John repeating himself. Ask the person in the shop what size hook is appropriate, okay? There are a lot of hooks and a lot of sizes, so each one has a variety for what type of fly you're gonna be tying, okay? So make sure you ask the person in the shop. Hooks can be a variety from stainless steel down to bronze hooks. All right. It doesn't, definitely make sure that you get a name brand hook. There are a lot of hook companies going out there in the world. Try to stay with name brand. Daiichi, Gamakatsu, TMC or Tiemco hooks are really nice. Make sure you try to stay in the name brand. Stay away from these off-brand, hey, great deal, buy 1,000 hooks for $10. You're gonna hate them, all right? Get name brand, good quality hooks when you're tying, okay? Some of your other tools that'll come into play, here's what I was talking about. You wanna get yourself a nice set of hackle gauge. It goes on your vise, okay? It actually measures the size of the hackle that you're playing with. Okay, here's your different varieties of hackle pliers. You have the non-slip and you have the J-style. Okay, I use the J-style. I like them a little easier. They're easier to grip. Okay, you have threaders, which are really important to have. Twisters, wait on that. Hair stackers, wait on that. Get yourself a nice whip finish tool. They're pretty nice to have. If you like doing the finger method of securing your thread at the end of the fly, great, okay? It's just another tool you gotta have, so sometimes it could be a pain. Here are your different varieties of bobbins, all right? So that's gonna fluctuate too based on what kind of fly you're gonna be tying. Scissors get into different varieties. Again, make sure they got a nice point on them. That's the critical part, okay? Again, hooks, thread colors come in again, different varieties and sizes. So you're gonna have questions about thread, ask the person in the shop. And then you have wire. Wire is another critical item when you get into tying nymphs and some of the other items that you see in your favorite fly tying book. Notice I said book. Yeah, I know, everyone likes the internet. I'm a book guy. I like opening an old book that has a different fly in it that hasn't been used in 35 years. Tie some stuff that's going to be interesting to you. You don't have to tie because your best friend ties it. Tie something that you like tying, okay? All right? Loads and loads of different types of material that you'll be introduced to, from deer hair, bucktail, to rubber legs, beads, stick-on eyeballs, marabou, chenille, all these different items you're going to be introduced to. You're going to be overwhelmed, but don't worry about it and don't freak out. All you got to do is kind of figure out what kind of fly you want to tie, and that's usually the first step. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of this stuff. One of the things I want to bring up as you get into fly tying, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a book guy. I don't really like going on the internet and looking at flies, okay? They are very helpful. There are some web pages out there that show some really great details on tying flies. But again, I like these things. So the reason I like them so much, and this is books, is because, like for instance, this one, The Bench Size Introduction to Fly Tying by Ted Leeson and Jim Schollemeyer. They're both great artists, okay? And they do a phenomenal job in this book, all right? So wherever you're at in your fly tying world, make sure you look at a nice fly tying book that lays flat, has spiral binding to assist in laying flat, and has what I call step-by-step instructions. In this case, a bead-headed prince nymph, which is one of your more popular flies. Make sure the book has individual pictures that take you through the process one by one. You can't do that on the internet sometimes. So you can do that with a book. You lay it in front of your vise. You just sit there and watch the pictures, and then you can actually coach yourself on what your fly looks like at that point of the picture versus what you have on your hook. So you know, hey, I'm not doing the right thing. The picture will show you the correct way to do that. Books vary in price. This one's actually 45 bucks. It's a great investment. I would highly recommend it. There are some other books that deal specifically with certain types of fish, like steelhead, bass. Stay away from those until you get more into fly tying, okay? Stay more with just the basics of fly tying, and you'll be super happy with all the different flies that they have. So, I think I covered everything. If there's something I missed, get a hold of me. Again, John Fennell here at Great Lakes Fly Shop, 218-740-3040 or greatlakesflies.com. Go in there under Contact Me. I'll be more than happy to go over some of the information. And remember, when you go into the shop, wear your mask. See you later, guys.